So, yeah, welcome back. It does feel like a bit of a long break. I mean, it's crazy because it's only like 2 weeks, but I think as we've got into a really good rhythm practicing every week, it does feel like a really long break. So, I'm going to carry on with the inversions. What I want to build up to is the shoulder stand, which I'm not expecting everybody to do. But if you are going to have a go at doing it, it would be good to have, um, you can use some blankets because not everybody's got the yoga blocks. Just let Rebecca in. Rebecca won't want to be doing this. So with the, I'll come to it later. But if you're going to use blankets, you make them into a sort of square, just like that, and you put two on top of each other. But if you've got yoga blocks, which I've got tucked away here, these make that process easier. So we'll come to that at the end. These yoga blocks. um, which you make into the square shape. So that's another option. Okay, some ways a bit easier, but I'd like us to start actually quite slowly, quite gently. So we're actually going to start just in a sitting posture, and I should do a little, just like 1 or 2 minutes of meditation. So I'm just going to hi Rebecca. So yeah, most of this class is not going to be about shoulder stand. Most of the sequence is about preparation. So I'd just like you to come into a simple Sukhasana and get yourself centered on your mat. Close the eyes. Just check that it is actually recording. Yeah, okay, great. And take your time to draw up your spine to the vertical axis. So it's going to, the sequence, well, the poses, should we say, are quite classical, and some of them are quite powerful. It's going to be a mixture of opening the shoulders, using strength work as well as yin yoga poses. So just like us to start off by centering into the body for a moment or two. So we're looking to draw the crown up towards the sky. Allow the shoulders to release, and checking around your body now, scanning through the body, seeing if you've got any areas that you need to take into account, any, I suppose, stiffness or tiredness or soreness. Taking in those areas with kindness. So we're in April, moving into springtime, moving through the spring. Spring is moving through us. Feeling how your body is changing, your rhythm is changing with time. For sure, the changing light is going to affect you. So aware of the overall shape of the body in Sukhasana. Allow you to bring awareness into the breath. If you can connect with the breath, I'm going to suggest you move with the breath as much as possible, and breathing freely. You're going to move towards so-called abdominal breath or diaphragmatic breath, a sense of breathing towards and from the belly area. even though the sequence hopefully will open up the upper back and shoulders, which will facilitate breathing higher up in the body. We'll aim to keep the breath more towards the center and the belly area. And before we move into the sequence, I'd just like you to connect with a sense of how you are. Maybe an image comes to mind. So you might be feeling at ease, like a mountain. You might be feeling like agitated, like the surface of the sea or the air. See if you can recognize how you are at this point in time. With your next exhale, we're going to open the eyes and gently release from this posture. I'm going to come down into child's pose towards the back edge of your mat. And we're going to work into a little bit of movement through like a half sun salutation. So I like you to bring your arms down by your side. Still connecting with the breath, connecting with the breath in the belly. Releasing the shoulders, releasing the hips. And on an inhale, we sweep the arms forwards, exhaling, ground the palms. Inhale, come into all fours. Exhale, we're going to drop back. So we're going to build this up really slowly. Exhale back. Inhale, back into all fours. Just do this 2 or 3 times, getting into a sense of moving with the breath. Exhale, dropping back. Inhale into all fours. So you're placing the shins towards the floor, drop back again. Allow yourself to swing back. A very simple binary movement, grounding the palms. So your shins grounding, tops of the feet grounding, palms grounding. Now with an inhale to all fours, exhale, lowering yourself down to the floor. Inhale all fours. So this now becomes 3 movements. Exhale, child's pose with the arms long. Let the breath guide the movement. So 3 positions. Prone, exhale. Inhale all fours. If you can keep the elbows in. Exhale, chance. All fours. Getting a feel for the floor, grounding through the hands, through the shins, through the tops of the feet, and moving from the breath. Okay, we're going to add in a 4th movement now. Inhale, lifting gently through the upper back, looking forwards. Exhale to all fours. Inhale. Inhale all fours. Exhale back to child's pose, and we'll add in the upper back lengthening extension. On the inhale, extending through the upper back. On the exhale, back to the floor. Inhale into all fours. Exhale, child's pose, arms long. So I'll just let you go through that a couple more times on your own breath. Moving, let the breath move the body. Okay, so feeling the floor, grounding through the hands, through the tops of the feet and shins, knees, coming into a low back bend. Making this the last cycle here. Coming into the low back bend on the in-breath. Elbows in. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale into all fours. Exhale, release back into child's pose. This time, release the arms back and take a pause there. Completely let go for a moment or two. Releasing the shoulders, releasing the arms, releasing the fingers. Letting your hips be heavy. We're going to build this up. So inhale, all hands forwards, exhaling, grounding those palms, inhale into all fours. So now I want us to add in the dog pose. So tucking the toes under and push up through from the balls of the feet towards the sitting bones. Start with the knees bent, pushing through the hands, through the upper arms, through the shoulders, head in line with the upper arms, and then explore descending the heels, opening the backs of the legs, pushing back from the hands through the body, through the sides of the body. It's almost, if you can, feeling the seat of the belly, the sort of pit of the stomach, drawing up towards the spine, and you're hooking the hips back, breathing there. Allow your heels to descend. We're going to do quite a slow moving session, okay? So holding the pose a little bit longer, connecting with the breath. If you can spread your toes here, you may want to play around with the foot position. Maybe the feet want to come close to the hands. Maybe the feet need to be separate more. Lengthen the toes, lengthen the fingers. Pushing back through from the hands, through the sides of the body, through the shoulders, sides of the body, through to the hip lifting, pelvis lifting. Inhale into all fours and rest back again into child's pose. You can sweep your arms back and release there. Release the neck, release the shoulders. And from here, we're going to come into a variation of Ardha Mukha Svanasana dog pose. So bring the hands forwards, exhale, ground the palms, inhale, all fours, exhale, lifting back up into dog pose. So with this pose, this is a bit more intense on one of the arms. So I'd like you to reach through and across to the outer leg. So I'm going to take my right hand to the left, okay? Breathe there. So I'm taking my weight just into the left arm. Try and keep the pelvis level, shoulders more or less level. Descending the heels, head lifted in line with the arms still. Breathing, feeling that intensity through the left shoulder. So if you're doing that way around, so my right hand is reaching for my left shin or lower leg. Inhale, sweep that arm forward, so right hand grounding, and then we'll switch sides. So again, you can play with the distance. Maybe you want to take your feet a little bit wider, bring them closer to the hands, and then my left hand is reaching for the outer right lower leg, breathing there. So I'm pushing through. It might feel a bit like off center. Well, it will be because your right hand, if you're just on one hand, right? So grounding through the right arm, right hand, reaching across, left, breathing there. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, release down. Completely release there for a few breaths. We're going to try that one more time. We'll just try a variation of that. So release the head, release the arms back, release the shoulders, connect with the breath. Breathing there. Inhale, take your hands forwards once again. Exhale, inhale into a force. Let's just try a variation of this. So I want you to bring your hands towards the center line. So the thumbs are touching. That's not so obvious from the camera angle I've got, but my thumbs are touching. My hands are like on a narrow base. And then I tuck the toes under, reach, push back. Just see if this is how this feels, okay? So I'm going to bring my left hand into the center line and reach across with the right arm to the left. Leg, lower leg, breathe there. That's going to feel different. Hopefully your hand will stay in position. This mat is slightly slidey, so I'm really wanting to ground through the forward hand. Breathing there. Okay, release. Switch hands. So my right hand comes into the center line and I reach across. The left hand goes to the right foot. So we're building strength or demanding strength from the upper body, shoulders. Try and keep the head in line with the forward arm, legs engaged, breathing there. And inhale, release all fours. Exhale back into child's pose and release into child's pose. If you don't want to always come back to child's pose, you can just sit onto the heels and release that way. But really try and release the shoulders, upper arms, outer arms, letting go there. Connecting with the breath, letting your body come to calmness again. And on the next inhale, we'll come into hands forwards, exhale, inhale into all fours. So I want to add in upward dog, which is quite a bit of a leap, but we'll drop down first onto the floor, tuck the toes under, bring your hands underneath just slightly forwards of the elbows. So we're gonna, as we push up on an inhale, you're gonna look up and I want you to lift your hips off the floor as well as your chest. So you come into a full upward dog. So as you inhale, lift up, lift the legs off the floor, look up, allow your weight, your pelvis to sink, but you're lifting the pelvis off the floor, breathing there, and release down. Just check in, we don't want compression, excessive compression in the lower back. So if that doesn't feel good on your lower back, don't lift so high, okay? Bring your hands forwards. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the legs off the floor, engage the legs, look up, arms straight, breathing there, and release all the way down. And push back into all fours and child's pose. So let's see if we can bring together the dog pose and the upward dog. Okay, so inhale into all fours. Exhale, dog pose, tucking your toes under. So you can do this in different ways, but I suggest you keep the toes tucked under to begin with. So we're going to swing down very gently, swing down the pelvis, looking up on the in-breath. Arms straight, look up, upward dog. Exhale, swing back. We'll do this 3 times, quite slowly, going all the way through to upward dog on the in-breath, all the way back to dog pose on the out-breath. Inhale. Careful not to overly compress in the lower back. So if you're feeling that, keep the hips lifted higher off the floor, okay? Exhaling back to downward dog, inhaling into upward dog. Open the chest, look up. Let's just add in one more, okay? So number 4, inhale, swing through, toes tucked under, looking up, exhale, Dog pose. Inhale into all fours. Exhale. This time, I want you to thread your arms through the legs. Child's pose and release there. Powerful pose. Upward dog. Also working into the upper back and the shoulders, which we're moving through this week. Okay, inhale, sitting up. And I'd like you to come to your feet. We're just going to one pose up on the feet. So turning towards the long edge of your mat, you're going to take your feet wide and turn the feet out a little bit. So I've just been playing with this pose just as in some ways, as a strengthening pose, sometimes called the horse stance. So I'm just going to bring my hands to the lower body. So with the horse stance, I'm not aiming to have the feet parallel. So you can turn the feet out in a way that's comfortable, but definitely grounding the four corners of the feet. And as you inhale, we're going to take the arms out, bend the knees, and like you're just gently supporting two walls, either side, to your right, to your left. You can even bend the elbows. And you can explore bending the knees as it were sitting on a great, well, if you just imagine a great balloon between the legs, and you're just gently resting on that balloon, opening out across the chest. Maybe two walls is not that helpful. Maybe it's more interesting to imagine two balloons. You're just gently supporting either side of you. So you're sort of almost like an elastic, soft quality to them. You're just gently pressing towards them. Likewise, underneath, like the inner thighs, sitting bones, we're supported on slightly elastic, maybe. Let's have a surface that gives like a sphere, an elastic sphere. I'm breathing there. And just see if you can settle into this. So deliberately holding these for a little bit longer. Just building heat and strength into the legs will help to release the hips and the thighs and the lower back, interestingly. Just with the static hold. Somewhat Qigong-like in its nature. My elbows are soft. I'm not going with straight arms. Exhale, release the arms down and just gently move back into Tadasana. Take a pause in Tadasana. Feet underneath your pelvis, feet parallel, lengthening through the spine. Gaze towards the horizon, releasing the arms. These poses, really simple, will help to create a sense of release through the body. You hold and release, but we hold for a little bit longer. So you will find that you're shedding tension from the shoulders, from the hips, from the thighs. We're going to come into the horse stance again, so taking the feet wider, a different hand position. So the feet, as I say, you can turn them out. This time I want you to embrace like a big balloon in front of you. My hands are at about shoulder height. And I'm going to allow myself to sink into that balloon that's underneath the sitting bones. My thumbs are gently pointing upwards. My index fingers are gently pointing towards each other in a sort of parallel to the floor, just to get a sense of the hand position. And I'm imagining a balloon between my body, the front of my body, and the inner arms. Breathing there. And allow your weight to sink down into the seat. That balloon underneath the sitting bones. You can breathe into the belly, be grounding the feet, the heels, grounding the balls of the feet. aligning your spine in the vertical axis. Include the neck in that process of alignment. Connecting with the breath. With this position, you can work on doing, begin with half a minute. You can play with the angle of the feet. You want to work the groins a little bit differently, you can turn the feet more out or more in. It's a slightly cheeky way of working because there's not a lot of movement, but you do create a lot of, as it were, power and heat in the posture just by holding this. Maybe building up to a few minutes. Okay, and then release the arms down. Bring your feet back together towards each other, maybe hip width or feet together. Coming into Tadasana, more neutral shape. Closing the eyes for a moment, just feel the effect of those two horse stances. Crown lifting up. Okay, and then from here, we're going to move back to the floor. Okay, so that was just a little sojourn into standing. So I'd like us to come into all fours. We're going to move into a couple of yin poses. So it's similarly that we're holding for a few minutes, but this time it's like a passive hold. So I want you to extend your left arm forwards in line with its own shoulder. If you can, thread the right arm underneath and turn the head towards the right, sorry, towards the left. So my right shoulder is resting down. My left arm is extended forwards. My knees are about hip width apart, maybe the hips are slightly behind the knees. And I'm just letting my weight sink into the sort of middle section of the body and the right shoulder. Breathing there. You can play, if you prefer, take your knees a little bit wider. That helps to create more stability in the pelvis. Feel free to do that. My left arm is slightly active, so it's not a fully passive left arm. But the right arm is resting on the floor. Again, connecting with the breath. You can close the eyes. Just allow this pose to soak into the body, feeling the shoulder girdle, hip girdle, spine. Connecting with the breath. Inhale. Carefully unwinding. So I'm going to turn away from the camera now. So now my right arm comes forwards and my left arm is shooting out perpendicular to the pose. So my left arm is shooting out to the side. And I want to bring weight through the slightly active arm, which is the right arm. So it's almost like a prop, but then there's weight going into the outer left arm. The hips behind the line of the knees. Play with the distance between the knees. You feel like you're stable across the pelvis. These are variations of what's called water dog from the yin yoga repertoire. We're going to do a couple of versions here to help open up the shoulder area. So I'm lengthening through the right shoulder, almost like I'm lengthening out from the right shoulder to the right hand. The left arm is more passive. Staying connected with the breath. Breathing now, allowing yourself to sink into the pose. My long right arm slightly active. Okay, from there, inhaling, coming up. So quarter dog version 2. Come back to all fours. So the version 2, just see, yeah. So we're going to extend the left arm forwards again. And this time I'm going to fold my right arm perpendicular to the mat, move my weight back, and I'm looking underneath the right arm, but with both elbows now on the floor. Maybe I'll just show this way. So my right forearm is on the floor, my left forearm is on the floor. And you can let your weight maybe sink a little bit more into the upper back area, the sense of stretching through the upper back, thoracic spine. My knees, again, they can be as wide or as narrow as you like. You want to have your hips slightly behind the knees. You could have some padding under the knees if that's helpful. Just feeling uncomfortable on the knees. Letting your weight sink through the upper back. If it doesn't feel good on the neck, you could keep your head centered. I quite like to turn the head towards the folded arm, but you can keep the head centered. So that might feel better for some of you. But the main sense is to try and get a sort of traction or extension through the upper back. So you're pulling through the structures of the upper back in a passive way, in a yin way. Okay, from there, inhale, coming into all four. So we're going to do cat-cow, which is a movement. So as you exhale, you fill out the upper back, draw the belly in. Sorry, inhale. And looking forwards a couple of times, just enough to get a little bit of movement there. Should feel like the upper body is changing every time we move through these poses. So we're going to now fold the left arm, goes across my mat, my right arm comes forward, but the forearm is down, both forearms down. I'm turning the gaze to the left now, if I had my head turned. Actually, with this pose, I quite like to have the knees a bit narrower, I have to say, not so wide as the last pose, but the hips behind the line of the knees. And then I'm letting weight sink into the structures of the upper back. This whole sequence is building up to opening the upper back and shoulders. So this has got something of an inversion quality. The head and the heart is lower than the hips. Connecting in with the breath. Really allow the breath to be full through the belly area, through this diaphragmatic breath rhythm. Okay, from there, inhaling, coming up to all fours. And then if you can, I'd like you to sit back onto your feet. It would be really helpful to have a strap actually at hand, if you've got one. And then I want you to bring your palms together. So we'll come into Namaste with the arms, with the hands. And then interlace the fingers right down to the roots of the fingers. Notice which of your index fingers is on top. So I've got my right index finger on top, but just notice which in really rooting down, and then push the palms away. So the first pose is really classic, simple. Stretch up. so-called mountain pose, Pavasana, and we're squeezing the elbows in. Again, you can really work into the shoulders and upper back here, quite consciously. So we're drawing the elbows in, you can close the eyes. Move the shoulder blades slightly down the back, so-called depressing the shoulder blades, and almost a sense of broadening across the tops of the shoulders. So you're bringing some movement and energy into the shoulder girdle, elbows in, breathing there. Okay, on an inhale, we're going to sweep the arms out. Exhale, we'll bring the palms back together, interlace with the other index finger on top, so really root down, web, the webs of the fingers, push away the palms. You can squeeze into stretch through the base joints of each finger as we reach up. Elbows in, should help to release tension from the hands, as well as taking awareness into the shoulders. Elbows in, squeezing into the medial line, into the center line. Weight sinking through sitting bones, buttocks, through the tops of the feet. So we're also stretching into the front of the ankle, foot. Just a good area to keep loose. Shoulder blades moving down the back, and then a sense of broadening across the tops of the shoulders. Really try and bring some awareness into the shoulders. They cease to just feel like one block. Sort of bone and flesh. So bringing some mobility in there, some sensitivity. Inhale, take your arms wide. Wow. Okay, I'd like to have your strap now. Gosh, if we're spending too long on the knees, do feel free to change. Well, you could, for example, if you've got these yoga bricks, you could sit on the yoga bricks that I was mentioning earlier. It's a bit intense on the knees, okay? It is good to sit on the feet, in terms of keeping mobility into the knee joint, which is an area that we need to look after. Okay, so with the strap, we're going to take the strap between index and thumb out in front, not too wide. Sweep up as we've just done with Parvatasana, and then start to take let me show this sideways. Start to take your hands away from each other and move back. I think we've done that. I'm sure we've done this before, to the point where you can then release down, but don't bend the elbow. This really does work into the shoulder joint. And then inhale, back up and round. And then shorten the distance. We'll do it 3 times. Inhale, we come up, reaching up. See, obviously, with the hands not very separate, you're going to struggle to move back there. So open up as much as you need to, but keeping a sense of working through the shoulder joint as you drop down. Exhaling, and then inhale back up. Don't have to bend the elbow. One more time. Well, let's do 2 more times. I just noticed Rebecca's just got a strap there. So we're coming up. My hands are not very separate. And then I start to separate, but keep a sense of stretch is on. Activity is on through the shoulder joint and down. And we try and keep the spine fairly neutral. So try not to move the head forwards. One more last time. Okay, so short distance between the hands, reach up. The shoulders are going to really appreciate this, whether you do shoulder stand or not, and back. Weight sinking into the feet, come back. Okay, now bring the hands a little bit narrow, but not too narrow. Take your left arm up and bring your right arm back. And then again, you can separate the hands a little bit more if necessary. Pushing up through the left hand. Wow. And right hand is coming into the medial line. So I'll just change my angle so you can see me front on. So my left hand is going up. My right hand is moving behind me, My right hand is moving behind me and into the medial line. You can play with the turn of the arm. Breathe there. Just take 3, 4 more breaths more. Gently pulling the hands away from each other. Head lifting. Closing the eyes. Really take your awareness in there. Exhale, releasing. Down for a moment. Let's just rest the hands into the lap. Hopefully your shoulders haven't turned to jelly. Okay, so take hold of the strap in front of you, not too wide. Take your right arm up, left hand back. And I'm pushing up with my right hand. I'm pushing in with the left hand. I'm breathing there. There's weight sinking through the tops of the feet. I'm feeling the tightness in the upper arms. Connecting with the breath. This is the second strap work move. Stay connected with the breath. And release. Okay, let's just release the arms, the belt for a moment to one side. Come off your legs for a moment. Open the backs of each leg. Opening the back of the knee, one at a time. Okay, and then we're going to come back into kneeling. The strap may be helpful for this. I think we did this last time, actually. So we're going to bring the strap over the left shoulder, just resting it there. And then I'm going to bring my right hand out in front and then round the back. My right arm. And then hopefully you've got the strap at hand if you need it. Then the left arm just goes straight up and then you hinge at the elbow and see if you can hook your fingers. If not, you can always take hold of the strap. Okay, and then we're pulling the elbows away from each other. And you want to really look very, as it were, eagle-eyed towards the horizon. So there's a sense of leveling off your gaze towards the horizon, soft gaze. And let's just stay in this pose for a while, actually. So try and find a comfortable level of challenge. So I'm actually using the strap here. If you can, you just hook the fingers and breathe into this. So this is working more around the upper arms. And it will be working into the shoulder rotator muscles, that set of 4, which some of you have drawn very diligently for the assignment papers for the teacher training. So it's working through that group of muscles around the shoulder. It's a really useful pose for opening the upper back, getting a sense of uprightness and posture, as well as working through the shoulder joints themselves. Okay, let's release. Wow. And switch. So maybe switch the strap. You were using it. So my left hand first comes forwards, then goes back. I can use my right hand as a prop to move the elbow in, and then I reach forwards with my right hand up, hinge at the elbow, and just see how I get on with that. So you might need to use the strap to begin with, perhaps all the way through this. And again, aim to lift the spinal column towards the vertical axis, crown up, sense of alignment. If you can, you're hooking those 3 middle fingers on each hand. index, middle finger, and forefinger making contact. Breathing there. Then connected with your breath in the belly. And releasing the fingers or the strap. And carefully release forwards onto your hands. Release one leg at a time, reaching back. Okay, so I wanted to do one little last flurry of warming, strengthening movements. So we'll come into all fours, come into dog pose. So you might just feel a bit sensitive, that upper back and shoulder area, but we're gonna gently do some heating movement here. So we're gonna come into the high plank. So as you inhale, you swing forwards, but this time you don't let the hips drop too far. So you want to line up hips, shoulders, and ankles, and then exhale, swing back up. And we'll do this a few times, slowly with the breath. Exhale, moving back to dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, coming into plank, high plank. Feet about hip width. So we're not going to count, we just do a few, probably going to do 5 or 6. Make them really quite clear, precise movement, sense of lengthening through the front of the body as you come down. Exhale, lifting the hips back. Next time we inhale, let's come to all fours and sit back on the feet for a moment. So I did put in the low plank, which is chaturanga. So I was sort of sitting on the garden bench when I thought this up. Okay, so if this is a bit much, just feel free to just watch your friends doing it. But the idea, we're going to drop into chaturanga, and then we'll see about, we may have to drop to the floor, come into all fours, and then back up. But if you can, you see if you can push back up. So this will be a bit intense on the shoulder. So come to all fours. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so dog pose. The so-called low plank is you inhale and you drop to chaturanga. And then you exhale, you push back up to dog pose. So you can do that dynamically. Inhale, elbows tucked in. Exhale, back up. Try to bring your hips and chest up together. Just try that a few times. Inhale. Exhale. My God. Inhale. Exhale. Push back up. Try not to over leverage the lower back. You know, don't push up too strongly with the arms without lifting the pelvis. One more, shall we? Inhale. So the alternative is you drop to the floor, okay, and then all fours, and then rest. Okay, great. That's the low plank. Okay, we're going to set up now. Actually, no. Yeah, so let's build this up. So if you've got a blanket, hopefully you've got a blanket, I'd like you to put your blanket down. So it's a square blanket space. Okay. And we're going to lie down onto the blanket with the head and the shoulders and everything on your blanket. Okay. So we did this last time. So we rolled up to what's called Ardha Pindasana and Ardha Shavasana, which is the halfway position. So you roll up and you bring your knees towards your forehead and bring the hands to the back. This feels okay on the neck and shoulders. Hold this for a while. And then from there, you can roll the pelvis towards the hands and come into Ardha Shavasana. So if that looks like it's too much, I'm just thinking of Rebecca there. What you could do as an alternative is have some bricks. So this is an alternative to the half shoulder stand, is a supported half shoulder stand. So I'm just thinking, be careful with the neck. So the alternative is to bring, so I'll let you choose, do a couple of times the half shoulder stand or bring the hips, pelvis onto some bricks and then come into the half shoulder stand, but the legs are more towards the vertical now. So this is an alternative position. Neck is long, arms gently down by the side. This is version 2 or accessible, or if you've got the accessibility in the upper back and shoulders, you can roll up, bring the knees to the forehead, Ardha Pindasana, and then you roll your pelvis to the hands, and the legs are now off the vertical as we come into Ardha Sarvagasana. That's without the bricks, using the hands. So try one or two of those a couple of times. Elbows in line with the shoulders. I'm lifting the chest a little bit. Can play between dropping the knees towards the forehead, Ardha Pindasana, which is a good pose for opening the shoulders. Do remember, if you've got your bricks there, take them out of the way, and in your own time, slowly lowering yourself down, and just take a pause there in semi-supine, connecting with the breath. Okay, so now we're going to try the full shoulder balance. So I'm only going to suggest you do this if it feels okay on your neck, okay, and shoulders. But you want to have, if you're going to use blankets, you're going to need a couple of blankets at least, okay? So you want the head to be lower than your shoulders. So I'm just going to show you possible setup with blankets if you haven't got the bricks. So you need to make a very clean edge. But I might even need, I've got like a load of blankets here, but you might need even 3 blankets, okay? So I'm making an edge here where the head is gonna, as it were, hang off. Okay. So one more blanket. So the edge of the blanket needs to be pretty clean. So that's gonna be enough height. You want a height differential between the head and your shoulders, so your neck isn't going into a really acute flexion there. So that's one option. Okay, if you're going to use blankets. If you're not going to use blankets, I'm just going to take them to one side. Remember, with the bricks, some of you might have these bricks at home. You make a little pad of 4. Okay, so again, head is on the floor, the shoulders are higher up. Okay, I quite like with these bricks because they're relatively new and quite hard to actually put a blanket as well just to soften the edges. Okay, so I'm going to put obviously you get it's a bigger, more height there. Okay, so again I'm going to lie down, but I want to, as I lie down, My head is now off the support, so it's off the blankets, but the shoulders are well onto the support, okay? And then I'll just let you come up into this in your own time. So I'll show it, but I'll let you do that at home at your own speed. So you just will roll up, knees again to the forehead, elbows are on, shoulders are on, but the head is on the floor. And then I'm going to explore extending one leg up towards the vertical. So I'm now aiming for a more vertical axis from the shoulder through the hip, through the knee to the ankle. Switch legs. So one right knee down, left leg up. Get used to your weight going into the tops of the shoulders, not into the neck, into the elbows. And then maybe taking up both feet. Head centered. So not looking at the screen, please. Just really focus on your own body. The gaze can be towards your belly. You want to feel your weight going into your upper arms, elbows, shoulders, not into the neck. And I'm projecting up strongly through the legs. And I hold this for a while. Breathing there. Again, you'd aim to build up to a minute or 2 or 5. From there, I'm bringing the knees back towards the forehead. And just remember, as you roll down, you're on a bit of a raise. Okay, so I'm going to lower myself down really slowly. Remember that the pelvis is high, going to go down to the floor. And then I move myself head onto the support and take semi-supine for a while with the arms wide and rest there, just checking in with your neck. Just let your blood pressure reorganize itself. So I would recommend bringing that pose in regularly to your practice. And there's all sorts of variations that you can play with if you get into it. But the basic setup is head lower than the shoulders and the elbows supported. That's really important to protect the neck. Okay, let's move to one side. No idea. I didn't look at the screen, so I don't know what people did. So I'd like you to can just discard your gear for a moment. If you've got a cushion or a couple of bricks, we're going to sit on the bricks and extend the legs out in front of you. Okay, actually just one brick is enough. So a little bit of support under the sitting bones. Okay, so I'm going to do something just to help release the upper back and shoulders, having done all that work. So we're going to bring in the right leg towards the right hip, or if you can, you cross the outside of the left leg and extend. We did this a lot last summer, this pose. I really got into this pose. Marichyasana. But it's a very good for me around the fourth chakra, heart center, and the shoulders. So you want to embrace the shin, the right shin to begin with, or if you're doing it the other way around, the left shin, and really feel like you're letting your shoulders sink down, but your crown is lifting. This will help create a sense of release from the shoulders and neck already. And then all I'm going to do is slide the inner left elbow into the front of the knee, and then embrace my right leg and turn to my right. My right hand rests behind me. I'm gently looking out to the right, lifting through the crown towards the crown. It has the added bonuses as well of stretching and working the hip rotator. So if you've got your right leg up, it works the right buttock the hip rotator. So often this is given for if someone's got uh, what's the word, tension or contraction in the hip rotators, the buttock area. This helps to stretch out the muscles of the buttock to release tension from that area. Try and keep it as a sense of your spine lengthening, softening around the shoulders. And close the eyes for a moment. Okay, and we release back round. So we're going to switch out the legs. So the right leg comes towards left. The left leg can come into its own hip, or if you can, you cross. Embrace the left shin, lengthen up. To spend a little bit of time emphasizing the vertical, finding the vertical axis. My right leg is projected forwards, left leg is folded, and now I'm going to slide my inner right elbow into the shin, left shin, and then I turn towards the left this time, emphasizing also lengthening up. So I'm hooking the elbow rather than hooking is not the word, it's more like embracing the left leg with the right arm. But yes, I'm hooking the inner elbow rather than hooking across the inner elbow. You get this benefit of lengthening from the neck area to the elbow area on the right side. You can close your eyes, anchoring through the pose through the right leg. Still a sense of looking for the vertical axis. The crown is floating up, away from the body, and release. So we're going to set up into Shavasana. Got no idea what time it is actually. Oh gosh, yeah. So we're okay for time. We've got a few minutes. So actually, we've gone past the hour, but that's fine. So set yourself up comfortably for Shavasana. And I'm going to change the camera back again. Okay. And make yourself comfortable. So if you do need to put a bit more warm gear on, go for it. And set yourself up, if you can, with a little roll. If you've got the gear at hand, have a little rolled blanket underneath your knees or a bolster. So you lift the backs of the knees away from the floor and a little bit of support under the back of the head. I suggest you turn the lighting down as well. Okay. So, okay, so setting up into Shavasana. With the Shavasana, you can quite helpfully move your pelvis towards your feet and do a self-embrace. You broaden that upper back area because we haven't done loads of poses, but we've done Hopefully done the poses in a fairly consistent manner, and then release the arms. And then likewise with the head, a sense of moving the head away from the shoulders. So you've like lengthened the lower back, lengthen the neck, and broaden the upper back. And feel the whole body again, the whole body from the crown, the fingertips to the toes, feet. Overall sense of the body. Checking through. So it's important to, I think, finish a practice with Shavasana in order to, as it were, reset the body to a sense of calmness. So we're making a shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. So from the flight, fright to calm, rest and restore, which generally yoga should be taking us on that journey. Obviously, some of the poses are going to be more stimulating or challenging. So they might shift us towards a sympathetic nervous system sometimes, but the idea is to end moving towards the parasympathetic, the calm, rest and restoration, rest and digest, I think it's sometimes described as. Your energy is going in from the periphery into the center of the body, a sense of calm, the belly area, chest area. Scanning through the body once again, checking in those areas that might feel tight or blocked or sore. See if that's changed. And just releasing the breath now as well. So releasing the breath, no special breath. Feeling your weight supported by the floor. This process of letting go, relaxation, and rest can really go on and on and on. You're welcome to deepen into this practice as long as you like. From time to time, it's worth, I've just been saying this to my students from the on the teacher training, but it's worth just setting a timer for 20 minutes and doing a long shavasana, like a 20-minute shavasana. So the tendency is to do shorter session. It's just worth you set the time and just forget about it and just see where you go. Giving yourself that permission to do that. I'm going to suggest you just stay as long as you like there. When you're ready, you move to one side and then bring yourself back up, but no rush. Thank you very much. And we'll see each other next week. Thank you.